we're live.
Did you get a countdown from 3 and then you muted yourself? So I had no idea. Hello.
I realized I had to make like
Flawless
2 clicks.
execution.
I
Mm.
had to both switch and unmute.
Nice. Well,
Hello.
hey, hello. We're live.
Welcome to the live stream.
How's the
The
sound? We
yeah,
we balanced? All good?
I think so.
Yeah, I was asking the
Oh,
chat.
I
They
can
can
hear
answer it for
myself
us.
back in the background because I have the other thing open. Oops. Yeah. Happy to be back on the bi-weekly live stream. Because that's been a while also. Because last time I was on the live stream was for the V2 launch, basically. Yeah.
Which was
So
also in the bi-weekly spot.
yeah,
So
that's true. Okay.
yep.
Fair enough.
something in the coca. Raunchy. I like it.
Yeah. Well, I'm very curious to see. Like the last live stream, I couldn't see any of the chat when we were doing the V2 thing. It sounded like super curated, the questions. So I'm very happy to see all the chat now.
Yeah, but that chat was also flying. That would have been impossible to read.
Uh,
But we had like what 6 or 7 of us who were actively, moderating and making sure that people were behaving themselves, and for the most part they were. It was very well behaved. Just a few inappropriate comments, mostly about people's knobs.
Well, I guess we can just open up a bit about what we're going to talk about today. So let me pump in some energy into my brain. First,
That's what I got coffee for.
yeah, I'm like in the anti-coffee momentum. I only do my morning coffee and then nothing. And this weekend I'll be
But yeah,
doing
it's like
nothing,
8 p.m.
nothing.
for you, right? So
Yeah,
it's,
I'm trying to do a reset on myself. Otherwise, get those full hours of sleep again. All right, so okay,
6 hours is good enough.
Wooting 60HE V2.
Woo!
Ew. So Wooting 60HE V2, we're gonna have a whole open piece for that. I don't know if it was like a specific thing or more like specific topics or questions we can grab.
I think, well, there's going to be lots of questions about it from folks who've been, reading different bits and pieces about it, seeing some of the coverage of Computex. So we'll leave a section of the live stream for that. But before that, I think we're talking about Computex would be the most interesting about our experiences there. I know I've seen a couple of people in the chat that I saw were also at Computex itself. Wasabi was one of those. Hello, Wasabi. Good to see you in chat. Maybe you can share some spoilers about some conversations that you've had with other folks, the tech media related folks. Maybe that'll be interesting. And then we can talk a little bit about some of the news recently on tariffs. That has been a bit of a roller coaster, and we'll not spend a whole lot of time on that, but a couple of minutes to just mention what some of that news is and what it does or does not change about how we're approaching things.
All right. Then the first thing is
Computex.
Right? Yeah. All right. So first of all, in the chat, how many people have been really watching like Computex news or don't even know what it is? What is Computex? So I wonder how familiar people are with Computex overall. Yeah. So we're going to do that.
Pretty big range. That some are and some aren't. So maybe describing just for a moment what Computex is, where it is, why it matters. That would be good. Yeah, some folks. I haven't watched Computex at all. Yep, I've been watching it. Seen some monitors. Oh, yeah. Yeah.
Okay. So let's do a short introduction of what is Computex. Well, Computex is very important to me because that's also one of the places how we started Wooting. So Computex is basically a big, well, let me see if I can convey all the categories together. I don't think I can say, well, that's a big topic. Yeah. But I think if I say electronics, it does convey it, but it doesn't convey the type of vendors you'd expect necessarily. But let's say it is like a big electronics show in Taiwan, and it is a very important one for a specific category of electronics, and that is primarily the NVIDIA, the CPU, GPU, cases, coolers, in particular. And then also it's a great spot for gaming related equipments where it comes to mice, keyboard, headset. And then surprise, surprise, it's also a place where POS systems come, like what's it, purchase over whatever.
Point
like
of
the
sale.
Point of sale. Okay, yeah. Point of sale devices are also sold at that show. And then you have also cloud
Yeah, a lot of them
solutions.
too. It's pretty wild how much,
Yeah.
how is
Barcode
that big of a market
scanners.
for something that's been 30 years old? It's crazy.
Yeah, you have all the new ones. Then you also
Yeah, they
have,
do the same thing, just a little bit better.
well, it's just basically an iPad now, right? Or a glorified iPad with an application on there. So then you also have server stuff, and yes, and also some software solutions. Now, big topic at Computex was AI. I guess if they do yeah. Anyway, it was a big topic because you have the big players like Intel, AMD, Nvidia, also attending that show and doing big press conferences, also on the topic of AI. So, yeah, we were at Computex. We had a booth there. Usually, you go to Computex because you're looking for business and press. It's not a consumer show; it's a trade show. But you do have one day at the end of the week, or the last day of Computex, which is open to public, and that means anybody can come in, also consumers. And that's usually one of the most fun days for us, because then we can actually also talk with the end users.
It's kind of devious though. They make that consumer day the last day where you've already spent 3 days, working at 110, 120% day all day long, and then the last day comes and it's just swarmed with people, and it's tough, but it's a lot of fun indeed. Definitely get
And
some energy burnout afterwards though. Whew.
yeah. It's pretty draining. You also have a lot of, because of all because the whole industry comes together there, and especially with all the, just take a desktop PC, everything that's in there, most of that stuff are Taiwan brands or Taiwan companies. So they all have like something to show there. So a lot of the press also comes together there. You'll find a lot of YouTubers also that are particularly focused also on like all the GPU and CPU and stuff being there. They won't necessarily cover us because they don't always cover keyboards and mice, or rarely do. But yeah, you also have like the regular press coming by from different countries. In the Netherlands or in Europe, from Europe, we have this European Hardware Association, under which you have like Cowcotland, oh my gosh, Insider Technology, Kit Guru from the UK. Then there's like Computex something from Germany. I forgot.
Speakers part of that?
No, so Tweakers is not part of that. No, but Tweakers also came, which is a Dutch one, by the way. And then you also, then when it comes to the YouTubers themselves, it really depends on if there's a brand sponsoring them. And you guys, I already saw it come up. You saw Batsy Tech. That was his first trip to Taiwan. First time he made that kind of video also, which is really dope. We could see him in person. I have a lot, I have a lonely positive things to say about him coming by. It's also insane how his beard looks like in real life. Like it's
perfectly manicured.
It's like perfect. He maintains that beard so well, and he's a lot taller than you'd think. That was very apparent as well, and it was also very cool to see that in person he was just the same as he is in the videos, which is also very cool. We also,
that's always a really telling sign, I think, with YouTubers in general, that if they are putting on a face or a show for their audience, then that reflects pretty poorly on them. But with the YouTubers that I know that Wooting has engaged with really directly, so Bad C Tech is one, and Optimum Tech is another. The feedback that I've heard from all the different folks on our team is that they are exactly the same as they are on person or on camera as they are in person. So I remember Eric saying that when he was talking with Optimum about the collaboration, that the very first few conversations were just like you just jumped right in. It's like you knew each other because you had already consumed so much of the other person's content that you knew exactly who they were, and then that translated perfectly to who they were to speak with one-on-one. So that's good, cool to see.
Just maybe for Optimum a bit awkward to talk with someone that feels like they know you.
Maybe, I don't know. He's probably used to it.
Yeah, I guess so.
I don't know.
Well, we also had there were more YouTubers coming by. Like we had Squashy Boy also. So Squashy Boy, this was actually a lot of fun. Squashy Boy was 100% sponsored by ASUS to come to Computex and do coverage at Computex for ASUS. But he hanged around our booth like half a day. Oops. Because he's a lot of fun. Also in real life, he's also like he is on the videos. He's also in real life. He's a lot of fun to talk with. Also, he has also a lot of funny ideas. Let's see, what other YouTubers do we have? Linus Tech Tips. They were also around. We had I think some people from I don't know if they specifically do the short circuit stuff.
Yep.
Yeah. And I'm a little bit lost on the names for a moment, but then they also came by and covered the Wooting 68 GV2. That was also cool. I did not see Linus running around. Other Computex events, I would often see him running around somewhere. Let's see. Then
we casually had dinner at the same place that Luke did that one evening, just like randomly.
Oh yeah. Paul's Hardware was next
unplanned.
to him. Yeah. If you go to Paul's Hardware, one of his Computex videos, he's in an Indian restaurant vlogging his food and showing what they're eating. If you look in the background, you'll see the whole Wooting team eating there.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
That was on video.
Nice. It was in the Indian restaurant.
It was good food.
Yeah. Okay, and of course Wasabi, not to forget, we just highlighted. He's also in the chat, if I'm right. It was also dope that he came by. I think it was for him.
iJoker was there.
iJoker from Korea was also there. Also very fun.
Level 1 Tech.
Really cool. Sorry?
Level 1 Tech was there.
Oh, that one I didn't see. Yeah. But also, I don't know if Wasabi's still in the chat, but I think that was his first trip to Computex, right? I think it was. I think he said that in the video as well. I did not see J2 cents. Is it not something J something 2 cents?
J's 2 cents. Yeah.
Yeah. I did not see him, but I don't think he attends every Computex, but there's always a chance that he walks around. Yeah. Also, I didn't see Tech Jesus, Gamers Nexus.
I did.
Okay.
I said hello to him actually.
Sorry?
Not that he knows who I am by any means, but I said hello to him and I said thanks for your good work on NVIDIA, keeping him in shape. And
nice.
He was very busy and ran past and said thanks and then kept going. Yep. I was with Yenny at the time actually.
Yeah, so it's pretty cool. Sometimes, you can sometimes see some popular faces there, but it's by no means the event where all of them come, or it's very easy to come to if you're not in Asia region at least. Because if you're coming from the US or from Europe, it's a long flight. It's not a cheap flight, and it's not easy. You need to be able to afford it as well. So, but it's a fun event. So
the flight back was 14 and a half hours, direct flight. Oof.
Yeah. Yeah, I think with Bad C Tech in particular, he had to transit in the US and before he could have the direct flight to Taiwan. So it's like, I don't know, I forgot how long it took, but that's great. So, so Computex is also an opportunity for folks like myself to see a bunch of industry people that are also making stuff and catch up with what they're doing, which is a lot of fun also. Not this Computex, unfortunately, I personally didn't have a lot of time to walk around. I did a round, but we usually will drop by the Newfie booth. And I don't know how else you would spell it or say it. But you have this whole area, you had this one whole area where you had a lot of the keyboards together. We were not in that area with all the other keyboard
Thankfully.
people. Kind of thankfully.
Way too busy on that spot.
Let's see. We'll also visit the switch makers. Gatron, TTC were there as well. I don't know if there was another one, but those were the two ones I was able to catch. We'd also take a look at some keycap manufacturers, like FUC Keys was there, and also.
Oh shit! They do keycaps, right?
The name is.
It's a great name for a company.
Yeah.
Oh shit!
In Chinese, it's Oshida, but in English, it's like oh shit, and if you change the D to a T, it's oh shit. Let's see, IQnox, I think that's how you say it, right? That was also there, but I didn't have an opportunity to pass by the booth itself.
Simon, Kevin, and I went over there, talked to them. Took another picture with their team, like did last year.
Last year they used that picture.
Yeah, I know.
To kind of meme us, because IQnox is okay. So in domestic China, there is this whole thing happening where you have a whole bunch of Chinese manufacturers making all kinds of marketing claims about their low input latency and amazing performance, and 0.005 millimeter precision. And IQnox in particular really loves to make these comparison tests and show how better their keyboard comes out in the test. But then actually when anybody else, like a third party does the test, that is not domestic China, because they get paid in a lot of instances to do it, then you can see that those keyboards don't necessarily come out better. And in fact...
Well, I will say that IQnox has top tier performance that is on par, at least from a latency perspective, with Wooting. I will certainly give them that. They do good work. Now, is the rest of their software package at the same standard of the utility? I don't think so on that, but hey, at least they're solid competition compared to some of the other boards that are out there that just kind of throw shit at the wall and see what sticks and pretend that they've got numbers to back it up. That these guys, they actually do try. Do good work.
They do. I on the design part, they have their style, which is pretty dope. Just don't really appreciate what they're doing in the China domestic market, because they're basically trying to always say we're one-upping on Wooting and making false latency claims. I don't appreciate that kind of stuff. If you're going to do latency claims, show the actual results in the testing method. Don't start like, I think they said like, oh, it's 0.4 millimeter, 0.4 millisecond latency versus the Wooting is 0.8 or something, and then you actually test it. It doesn't really, you can't replicate the results. But a lot of those brands will be doing this stuff, especially the 0.0000005 millimeter precision. But then actually okay. Well, I'm going to rant about this one. I have to rant now. I can put my energy back. Can I rant? Because now I'm feeling some energy coming in about this rant, okay? Jeez.
I thought you were going to rant on split spacebars, but this is even better.
Oh, no, yeah. I can rant on split spacebar as well. I will definitely rant on split spacebar. Let me just say this thing, okay? First, Americans, please go look up what metrics are, and then translate that to your empirical systems, right? And learn how big a millimeter is, okay? Please do this. Please, okay? Because you do not understand how incredibly small 0.1 millimeter already is. Like, you can barely even see this, kind of little. And then 0.005, I think the claim is, right, is so incredibly small. Like, manufacturing tolerances have a huge issue already to even get to 0.1 millimeter, let alone 0.05 millimeter, okay? So I just want to let that sink in for a moment. It is so incredibly small. Now, is it possible with a Hall sensor to measure 0.005 millimeter? Yes, it is, because a Hall sensor can be sensitive enough to detect such small changes. Do you want to detect 0.05 millimeter? No, you do not, because the magnet inside the switch, okay, by simply tapping the table, can already move 0.05 millimeter from a fucking vibration, okay? So it is unusable. It's completely useless. Holy shit. Okay, so after marketing these amazing performance numbers of trillion K scanning and millions of zeros something millimeter precision on these keyboards, right? What happens? People use it, it's unreliable, it starts activating on its own because nobody understands how small that detection is, and that you don't even need to touch the key, you just blow the keyboard, it will activate, okay? Like, it's unfucking usable. So what do they introduce? Dead zones. Fucking dead zones. Jesus Christ. So what do? No, it gets even worse. What do we get? We get like, Wooting, why don't you add dead zones to your feature set? We want to have dead zones. And it's like, wait, why are we using dead zones again? Wait, isn't a dead zone just means like, you don't detect anything in that beginning range, or you don't detect anything in that ending range? Isn't that like, okay, that's like counterproductive? So what do you put your dead zone on? Yeah, put it on 0.1 millimeter. What the fuck?
No,
0.1 millimeter?
Like, let's be real here. But, their dead zones are pretty enormous, especially at their end of key press, if I recall correctly, because they're using the swapped way of measuring that with the Hall sensors, that they're more accurate at the start of the key press versus the end, versus we do the other way around, or maybe I have that backwards.
You think about TMR sensors, or what are we talking about?
Yes.
Sorry.
Yeah, no, you're right. That's a completely different story.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. No, so dead zone is basically saying you put your sensitivity, or even your aperture sensitivity, whatever, right? You put your sensitivity, it gets worse, because you set your actuation point at 0.005 millimeter, and then you proceed to set a dead zone of 0.1 millimeter, because otherwise your keys accidentally activate. Okay, let's I had to throw that out for a moment. So,
Been a long time coming, this rant.
Yeah. So what happens when you have a cheap keyboard that has all these claims, and you have a bunch of Americans buying cheap keyboard, and then using these said claims features, not understanding what metrics are, right? They're going to throw it on the smallest fucking possible number, because that is the fastest thing, right? Okay. I had to throw that out. So this is why all of this doesn't matter. So then we go back to the latency testing, right? And we can still see that it makes no difference. I'm saying that wrong. Sorry. We go back to the latency testing, and then we can see how amazingly faster those keyboards are than Wooting keyboards, because they put no dead zone, and they put it on the 0.005 millimeter activation point, like the most unusable settings ever that you can't use. Does that save you point something milliseconds in latency? Yes, duh. So how do you beat the latency test? You just offer those settings, and you'll win a point something milliseconds in the most unusable setting ever, and then you can make your fucking claim on a chart, being on the top somewhere, because hey, latency test. And when then we look at the charts, do we look at the actual numbers? We do not. We just look at what's on the top of the chart. Okay, that was my rant. That was the rant I had about. Okay.
So where were we? We were Computex, right? didn't get very far in our schedule here. That's all right though.
Okay.
So I think for what's important for Wooting then, for Computex is not so much the business to business days, because we're a direct to consumer brand, and so we spend a lot of time interfacing with the community, and so our engagement in those first couple of days is really limited to the tech media, to the reviewers that come by, and how they have an opportunity to get face to face with us and to meet our products and our team. And then they generate and create content that then gets shared outwardly to all of you, and much less so the types of business folks that come on by, the distributors and the suppliers and whatnot. We've already got pretty solid relationships with our suppliers, and so that's much less relevant for us. And then distributors pretty much just tell every distributor that thanks but no thanks. That's not something we're interested in. There is a place in our market for resellers, for those who are selling directly to consumers, specifically in places where we can't effectively serve ourselves, or there's a language barrier, there's an import barrier, there's a local consumer preference type of barrier. There is a place for that. But then for distributor, so a business that sells to other businesses to sell to either other businesses or consumers, that's too far removed from the consumer for us. So what Calder was talking about, that last day being the most fun and the most exciting for us, that's the consumer day, and that is where we get to really talk to people, to have that one-on-one conversations with folks. And I don't know, maybe Calder, you can share some of the interactions that you had with individuals that were really a highlight for you.
Well, it happens
not
a lot
the
on that
specific
last day.
individual per se, but
well, what's more fun is actually, well, on the day itself, on the consumer day itself, it ends up end up making a lot of pictures with different well, in this case, Taiwan fans, and we end up also signing a lot of keyboards, which is a lot of fun. With some of them, I'm able to have a talk, not all of them, because it's a little bit difficult to spend a lot of time in one location. But I did have, there's one interaction that stuck around. Some of the interactions stick around also is when you have these people working at other companies in the industry, sometimes also the competitors, and they're just, they come by and they talk with you about Wooting keyboards, and they have also a Wooting keyboard on their desk at home.
I had a few of those conversations as well with our direct competitors and people very high up in those companies who have Wooting products at home, but then are selling their own products. I won't name any names because maybe I don't want to get them in trouble, but it's big companies.
But then the fun is also they give feedback. Things they think is good, things they think they're not so good. And that's also usually the most fun piece with the consumer day, because I also get to see some of them bring their keyboard from home that they made themselves. They customized it, or some of them are not customized, they just bring it for the signing also, for example. Mm-hmm. But they also give some feedback on the spot about things that they run into. Some of the things we've actually thought about, other things that we've just not thought about at all. And that I find a lot of fun, because that really inspires me again, like, okay, so there are some new scenarios that we can start looking at and what we can do better. Because I have to be honest, for myself at least, is that in my own environment and my encounters with our keyboards and with playing games in general, it's way too little. And I've already covered my own specific scenario, and I cannot change myself into a different type of keyboard user out of nowhere and then try to create a whole new scenario. So I'm very, very dependent on other people sharing with me what their keyboard usage looks like, how they do their setup, what kind of tricks, tips they have for their keyboard to me. And I can learn a lot from this. And that also inspires me a lot more about, what direction we should be taking when it comes to making keyboards. So it makes me think also, in August we have Gamescom. We will also have a booth at Gamescom, and Gamescom is like I don't know if I'd call it like more of like a gaming convention, because it is primarily focused around games themselves.
It's in the name.
Yeah, exactly. But you also have quite some hardware stuff in there. And we will have a booth. And it's all consumer days. So I'm very excited for that. I'm really curious, because we've not done a full consumer day event like that, other than mechanical keyboard meetups, but like that before.
But then that's just like one day, right? So are you confirmed that you're going to be at Gamescom?
Yes, I'm going to go to Gamescom. Yeah.
Nice. Cool.
So if you're in Germany, or you happen to be in Germany, and I think it's in Cologne, I'm guessing. Otherwise, it's Frankfurt. I don't know. It's somewhere there. Going to be somewhere there, probably. Yeah. And you happen to be there around Gamescom time. I think it's like 20 something of August.
Yep.
Then
20 to 24. If I recall correctly.
Yeah. I'll be hanging around the booth most likely that we have, and I'll be very, very curious to receive feedback. Yeah. Oh, sorry. And then that was my the thing at Computex on Consumer Day thingy.
Nice.
Should we? Do you want to? I don't want to ignore. I see chat also has like some of them are just questions. Some of the questions that get in there, I think some of the Wooting people are already helping answer them. I think that's great. I don't know if there were some relevant questions.
Doing the Lord's work.
See, my chat on the side is very delayed. I just need to open the thing itself.
Yeah, that's why I have the YouTube chat on my screen, not using Streamlabs.
Oh, okay. So let me see if we had a good Wooting guy telling somebody to use ModTab. Yo, bro. So we have two people. One is like, can we split the shift key so it can become an extra arrow key? And the other one is basically saying, if we're going to have arrow attaching keys to the Wooting keyboard, similar to the knob. Arrow attaching keys to any Wooting keyboard slim to... I don't really understand that one, actually. So this is okay, so Romolo Massaro, I'm not sure how to pronounce it exactly. Can you ask that question again? Because it sounds a little bit weird. You're saying basically similar to the knobs, if you can have like arrow keys that you can install anywhere. It's kind of like...
You can already map arrow keys?
An arrow module like that. But how would that look like? Like you use... Because you can just map the arrow keys on those specific keys, right?
Yeah, exactly that one. But then I'm not sure which one that one was.
Yeah.
Close.
You have to rephrase it. Maybe there's a reference. So, okay. Is Mikael CD on the or? Okay, I see some people already getting creative with what we've done with the knobs, right? So maybe that's a good bridge to the stuff that we've shown at Computex and also the V2. So maybe we can open up the knobs for a moment. There's not a whole lot we're allowed to say about
the knobs closed because there's lots of little secrets inside those knobs, but we can talk about them, sure. But opening up, it's
okay, we can show you the outside box of what is the knobs of the things that we've basically shared, but then we can kind of like clarify
Mm-hmm.
So we introduced a small knob and a big knob that you can hot swap on any Wooting keyboard with
That has an ARM processor,
it has
asterisk.
an ARM processor, yeah, which is basically 6HE
Everything for the last
plus
3
Wooting
years,
2.
pretty much.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. And I can
Including the
see that.
UWU. So if you have an UWU
Ooh,
like
also.
this,
Yeah.
you can install a knob on it. Of course, I have Pokemon keycaps on there at the moment, but hey, you can put a knob on there instead.
Okay, so then I see, okay, so you had like, people are asking modular numpad. Okay, no, modular numpad, I have a whole different round for that one.
Save that for another day.
Can you replace all keys with knobs? Yes, you can replace all the keys with knobs for the meme. You can. In theory, you can.
Yes.
In practice, we haven't tried yet. There's probably something we'll run into that is going to be problematic. Like, yeah, there's
The
something
typing
probably going to be
experience would be
problematic.
horrendous for one.
Oh,
I
that
mean,
would.
you can press them all down, but God, that'd be terrible. You have to type like this. Or you could have, turning it one way would be lowercase, turning it the other way would be uppercase, something like that. That'd be pretty wild. Would it be a good idea? No. But could it be done? Yeah, probably. I have no doubt somebody's going to try.
I see Romolo says, literally the same idea of the knob. It comes as a single piece without being attached to anything. And you have the power to attach it to any Wooting keyboard. Same thing for arrow keys for the 60HE. I have to be honest, it is still a little bit weird because what it sounds like what you want is have this like separate module of arrow keys and then can somehow attach to your Wooting keyboard, and then you have like dedicated arrow keys. But effectively what you should be doing to solve your problem, if you're using a 60HE, in what I assume right now, is just to use ModTab on your right shift control menu FN key. I don't know if I think that's the default on the right bottom. You should look up ModTab on YouTube, Wooting ModTab, and then you'll also find out what that feature is. That essentially does what you want. Yeah.
Use these. Also, that's the custom strap. Just wanted to show that off.
Yeah. Nice.
Got that in Taiwan.
See, so this is what the strap is for. Fine, just you encounter some kind of weird ass thing, you can just attach to it, just get that and attach it, yeah. Or like literally a strap. You can press the small knob like a mute function, yes.
Mm-hmm.
That's the idea, yeah. So the small knob can do clockwise rotation, counterclockwise rotation, and it can be pressed. All three of them are their own individual inputs.
And you can press and rotate and press and counter rotate. So it's actually 5 different inputs.
Oh, Mark, that's the one we're not sharing it.
So we shared it.
Now,
that's out there.
We're not going to promise that one.
It's in Badson's text video.
Oh, really?
I'm pretty sure.
No.
Simon was talking about it with
oh, really?
Yeah.
Okay. The big knob can do the same thing, except for the thing that Mark just said. Well, you can no, actually you can do that too, probably, but it works a little bit different. Yeah.
Oh no, Simon's calling me out. Oh no. Simon, you're on vacation. Get out of here.
Oh, thank you, Simon. Thank you for clarifying that for a moment. Oh, you mentioned it in some other video, Mark, to YouTuber. Dun, 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 dun.
I thought this was already a known thing.
You got caught by the sales habit. You got caught by the sales temptation. Anybody that works in...
That's why we needed the pre-Computex briefing of what not to talk about. That wasn't on that Notion page. I'm going to check that Notion page. Actually, I
That
don't know
was
if it was.
I think it was definitely on Notion page the things you could say. It didn't say you could not say the thing, but it definitely said what you could
See?
say, and everything else was a no. Yeah, but yeah, you just got impacted by the sales temptation. If anybody that's worked in sales knows that feeling when you're talking to a customer or anybody, you're basically going to blob out everything you have because you want to convince the other person. All right.
I've checked the page. There is a list of things we do not talk about. It was not on that list.
Okay, but there's... Oh, no, that's not fair. It has a list about the things you can only talk about in regards to the knobs. Yeah. Everything else, because the not speaking part is too big. Okay, so... Jacob, I really don't think you know how the knob works thanks to the Computex video. No way. No way.
He's divined it from our body posture. That's his thing.
Romolo said, no, I'm now following up on Romolo. He's getting dedicated chat support from me here, or like spoken support, live stream support. All right, Jill, just wanted to know if it was possible. It's okay. I'll rely on the FN key. But that's the whole point. You use ModTap, you don't need to rely on the FN key. With ModTap, you can have both your FN key while also having those arrow keys. Please look up ModTap on YouTube, and then you will be you'll be, geez, what's it called? You'll be freed from the shackles of FN arrow keys. Okay. You said in the 6-stage V2 video that there is sensor improvements coming to all models. Can you elaborate, please? Sharp. That I did. I did not specifically say the sensor would get an improvement, but you got the gist of it, since it's not a hardware thing. So we're actively okay. So there's a thing. If you don't use Lecker switches and use any other brand switches, they will have they most likely will have a different magnet inside. So it will have a slightly different, how am I going to call this? I don't know, I'll get into that in a moment. They have a slightly different magnet inside, and their build tolerances might be different. And the height of the magnet in what's it called, in blah blah of the sensor. Come on, Mark, you're the American. What is the word I'm looking for? You have a magnet here. You have a magnet here. You have a sensor here, and you say like the magnet position in blah blah of the sensor.
Relation to.
There's another word I'm looking for, but okay. Your magnet can be a little bit higher. Yeah. Your magnet position can be a little bit higher or lower.
Variance?
And yeah, that plus the strength of the magnet, that can change the Gauss. Yeah, so that was somebody was mentioning Gauss. So it's the relative position. Yeah, but there's in particular something in this direction, which means like on the opposites. Okay, anyway. Because of this, when you use one of those switches, the input that you get is different from our Lecker switches, and a lot of our calibration stuff is related to the Lecker switches. So the calibration stuff works already really. The automatic calibration we have in the keyboard already works really well, and it is already pretty accurate and precise. Being precise means that if you set the settings on 0.4 millimeters and you press the key, it will actually actuate at 0.4 millimeters. Whereas if we say it is also accurate, it means that at repeat presses, disconnecting, connecting, right, it will always activate at 0.4 millimeter. So However, when you put in those other switches, that accuracy and that precision is not as good as our Lecker switches. So we've been working on a reliable, fast way to test individual switches to understand their patterns, so we can increase accuracy and precision of every individual switch. And we've also been applying that to our Lecker switches, that new way of testing it. And thanks to that, we can now do two things. One is, with the data itself, we can have better calibration, switch specific, that improves accuracy and precision. And the second thing is, we're also able to test when we're physically pressing at a certain, we're also able to test this, is how I should say it, at the same time. So we can also literally test reliably and fast. Does this, what it says on the screen, actually happen in real life and on the PCB with the voltage expectations, blah, blah. And I think when you talk with Simon and TY, they'll get all giddy, because there's there's a tolerance range for the testing method that I don't dare to say the exact number right now. I think it was 0.02 millimeters, or it's 0.01. I forgot what it was again. But the whole point was that somehow the result is so good that it's on the tolerance or even lower than the tolerance range, which is quite shocking. So we're working on that right now. That will translate into a switch selector in the utility. Now, I'm not going to say this idea of choosing which switch you have in the keyboard is something that whole new innovation.
Revolutionize?
Sorry? Yeah, no,
Revolutionize?
Yeah, exactly. Well, anyway, yeah, I won't say that. I've also seen some other keyboard software that has already implemented it at the time, but they have implemented it out of sheer necessity, or otherwise the accuracy would be so off and the keys would activate by accident, that they have to do it. Whereas our implementation is about, for us, we never needed to do that because we already automatically calibrate your switches. So anyway, so if you want to get into that 0.02 millimeter accuracy and be spot on. Oh, I lost Mark there for a moment. Well, let me finish the sentence though. If you want that accuracy, you're going to have a switch selector in the utility. You can select which switch you have installed where, and that will